Donna Schwartz here from the Everything Saxophone podcast. We're live at the NAMM Show 2025. It's day one. I finally got the chance to meet up with Theo Wanne at the Theo Wanne booth, all right, which is awesome. He's got something really, I think, special and awesome to share with you all. Welcome to the podcast again.
Yeah, thank you very much. It's good to see you again. I know
it's great.
Been a couple of years.
I know, it's been a couple of years. It's great to see you, and you'll see what he's holding right here. We're going to actually bring that really close. It's the new Essentials line from Theo Wanne. Let's talk about this, you know, the inspiration for creating this and how it's different and who it's best for.
Yeah, so the Essentials line is basically all of our best technology, right? So, and highest quality, so you get the full quality level of Theo Wanne mouthpieces. You know, of course, we always try to set the benchmark for that, highest ever in history. That's our, I mean, it really is our goal, right? I mean, we really shoot for that. And then the best designs, you know, like we're always trying to stand on the shoulders of the great and keep innovating, right?
Yeah.
And so there's full innovation in these and full quality, but at very affordable prices. And the reason these never came out before this is because we didn't know how to, right? I mean, this all started, like, got to be about 3 decades ago when I was just refacing mouthpieces.
Okay.
And I would have like kids come and even, you know, and intermediate and pros come, and I would reface their mouthpieces and get really efficient, great sounding mouthpieces, and then they'd just be so happy and excited, and they would transform. And once I had this kid come in because his mom kind of made him, because he was about to give up on band because he was like struggling so much.
Oh, okay.
So I redid his mouthpiece.
Wow.
And then after that, it's like, oh my gosh, I actually enjoy playing now. And it really made an impact on me, right? Like, okay, you know, here, this kid was gonna quit, and now he all of a sudden got excited. And then about 2 years later, I just ran into him on the streets of Philadelphia, where I was living at the time, and he came running up to me, right? And he goes, Theo, I just have to tell you, that day that you refaced my mouthpiece, right, it changed my life. And I'm like, well, how? And he said, well, you know, I was fighting the instrument, but after you refaced it, I realized I really do love the saxophone. I just didn't like having to fight the instrument. And after that, he became a music major.
Wow.
And he went into the music field, right? And it was like, wow, you know, it's like, and I've had many experiences like that from all my refacing and then my other products. And that's why on our products, I mean, I have to say, it's what makes this unique. All the tables are perfectly flat, the rails are perfectly even, and that's just not something normal in our industry. And so these mouthpieces, even though they're priced low, they have perfectly flat tables, the rails are even, you don't have to play 10 to find one good one.
That's awesome, right there.
Yeah.
Right there.
Yeah, and they're my best designs. I mean, they're like up there in design with our, and it's all due to we're always pushing the boundaries of innovation and technology. And so now we've reached a technology level where now, after my 30-year goal ever since I did, was I need to come out with mouthpieces that are affordable but not lacking in any way, right? And so finally the Essentials line is here. And so we've got the concert series for kids in concert school or people playing classical music.
Like community bands and stuff. Yeah, let me say this too. This is not just for kids. This is really important. And I want to backtrack for a second.
Yeah.
That story is so powerful because people don't realize, you know, parents or grandparents listening, if you've got, you know, younger ones and maybe, or even yourself, a lot of people that are older play right now, and if you feel like you're struggling and, you know, your embouchure is pretty set, whatever, but you're fighting the horn, check the mouthpiece.
Mm-hmm.
You know, now there's more options for you than there were even 5 years ago.
Oh, so many more. Yeah, and it's true. It's really like, it's really, the mouthpiece really I mean, that's why I went into this. It's not because I sell
Yeah.
mouthpieces I say this, but it's why I went into making mouthpieces. It's the most important part of your horn. I mean, a rock and roll player and a classical player could play the same saxophone, but their mouthpiece will be very different. So how you get your sound really is from the mouthpiece. And so like concert, it's a very good point you made. Professional classical musicians will want to try the concert series.
Yes.
Right? Again, we did not skimp on quality or design for these. Yeah, it's full-on professional mouthpieces. And then the jazz mouthpieces are great for jazz, right? I mean, for that whole standard Autolink Meyer world.
Right, jazz bands,
Yep.
you know, playing in smaller ensembles, playing, and even like weekend warriors, right?
Yep, absolutely. Yeah.
Okay, I'm curious then, when it comes to these mouthpieces in particular, like let's say one of the concert mouthpiece, is it still going to be the same sizes, the same mouthpiece sizes as the jazz, or is it going to be, you know, the tip openings are going to be different?
Opening? Yeah, we do make these in different tip openings.
Got it, okay.
Yes. So the concert comes like in a size 3 and 4, and you know, and the jazz, you know, 5 and 7, which is more, yeah.
Got it.
Which would be more akin to what you would play on in those styles.
Got it.
Yeah.
Okay, that's good. That clarifies that. And which one? Let me hold the mic for you for 1 second. Which one is the concert
Right.
one, or all these?
They say on the side. So here's concert, right? And it'll say
There we go.
concert right there,
Awesome.
right? And then the let's see. I think I grabbed the concert rack. Yeah.
Okay, that's all
So
good.
in that same place, right? This also says concert, right? But in the same place, it'll say jazz or contemporary.
Okay, so we have the concert, we have the jazz, and contemporary. We've got
Yeah,
three
and
styles.
so the contemporary will have a step baffle. That means, you know, when you got that big step, you know, where the air goes across. So the idea of a step baffle is the air travels much faster, and so you get more projection and you get a louder mouthpiece. So the contemporary is for people who, you know, like a Dukoff or a, you know, style of mouthpiece, you know, that's much brighter, right?
like your Durga.
Like a Durga, yeah, Durga or Shiva,
Yeah.
yeah. So like that style of mouthpiece, yeah.
Okay.
Or Gardala, Brecker, or Studio, yeah.
Right.
So that style, yeah.
Okay, so then for, is it the jazz mouthpieces and the contemporary ones, do they have the same tip openings? Because they're going to be
Very
bigger?
similar.
Similar,
Yeah,
got
very
it.
similar, yeah.
Okay.
You have a couple options in each, and the jazz and the contemporary, you're right. Very similar tip openings.
Now, what was, I don't know if you're allowed to say this or whatever, but what was the key breakthrough for being able to produce these mouthpieces with the high quality but for the lower price? So how were you able to do that?
Yeah, it's the manufacturing method we make these in, right?
Okay.
So we obviously have done a lot of CAD technology, and we're the leaders in machining, right, from the CAD technology. So we use very advanced CAD models, like aerospace level, very advanced CAD models. And so the next step was in AMP, how these are made is additive manufacturing process. Many people call that 3D printing, but this is really an advanced version of that, much more advanced.
Wow, okay.
Yeah. So if you look at most mouthpieces that are made with 3D printing, you'll see layers, right?
Yeah, okay, yeah.
So how that works, I'll let you hold this for 1 second.
Okay.
So how that works is, it's like a printer, right? You print one layer, and then the mechanism, the printer goes up one layer, then prints again, then up one layer, and it prints again, then up one layer, and so that's three-dimensional printing. So it's just like your printer printing on a piece of paper, but in layers, where the ink gets stacked on top of itself, right?
Got it, okay.
But you'll notice on our mouthpieces, right, if you look, you don't see any of that.
Not at all.
It's perfect, right?
Yeah.
And that is very, very, very hard to do. And in fact, I've never seen anybody else at least in our industry, do that.
Yeah.
And so finally we can make and we have all of this in-house. So we have very proprietary methods in our factory in Bellingham, Washington in USA. So just like our professional lines, we make all of these ourselves in our factory here in the USA.
Let me ask you this.
Side.
Do you have patents for this? Do you have patents for this process or no? Or is it more standardized but it's not been used for saxophone mouthpieces?
No, it has not been standardized, and we're keeping the process very, very secret. And so right now secrecy is our number one best tool against the
against thieves.
Yeah, we do have I think 6 patents now. But as many of the designs inside our mouthpieces, we chose not to have patents, just not talk about them. So there's a lot of technology that goes into our mouthpieces that we just literally don't talk about because we figure that's the best protection. So if you want to hear that technology, it's very easy. Play the mouthpiece. And you'll feel it. You'll feel like, oh my gosh, right? It's taking so much more air than any other mouthpiece. And the benefit of that is you get dynamics, right? Okay. You can go from pianissimo to a fortissimo that you just can't get otherwise.
So are you saying, just for clarification, would these mouthpieces be less resistant? Is that what you're saying?
Yes. But you can get enough resistance in a healthy way, like there's healthy resistance and unhealthy resistance.
Okay.
So I define that as a healthy resistance gives you control, right? And the ability to create dynamics, right? So if you just blow and it's too easy, you kind of get a one-hit wonder.
Yeah.
Like you get one thing, one sound, right? And we don't want that. So we want a healthy resistance that gives dynamics. The ability to go from pianissimo to forte and growl and just have a big palette to choose from. But unhealthy resistance is where you're just limited. Like you blow and you're fighting the mouthpiece and you only have this palette of expression that's only very small because of the resistance. And that's what most mouthpieces have as resistance. And I call that unhealthy resistance because it's limiting all your self-expression. So more important than your sound is really when you play a mouthpiece, it's the feeling of self-expression, right? Because then I got one story of one customer who wrote me, right? And he ordered a mouthpiece and he didn't tell his wife. And he got the mouthpiece in the mail and he went upstairs, right? And he started playing the new mouthpiece. And as soon as he started playing it, his wife yelled, and it's a true story. I got this in a letter from a guy. And he goes, his wife started yelling upstairs, "Hey, what'd you do? What'd you do? What'd you do?" And he goes, what do you mean? And he's yelling downstairs. And she goes, "You're more expressive. You have such amazing ideas. I've never heard you so expressive on the saxophone before. What'd you do?" And the guy just kind of stopped and he went, "It was the change in the mouthpiece."
It improved his relationship.
yeah, I think so. So then at that point his wife said, "Oh, okay, it's okay, you bought the mouthpiece."
So mouthpieces can improve your relationships and your marriage.
Yeah,
that's the motto.
It can get the what is it? The wife appreciation factor, right? You can get approval for purchases that otherwise might not. Yeah.
First time you heard that, right here on the Everything Saxophone podcast.
That's right. Yeah, but I love that example because that above sound is the one thing I shoot for, is to allow people to have that freedom of expression. So you don't play and you're like, well, I'm locked into this sound, right? I want you to be able to do everything. Right? And that's one reason like the Durga, mouthpiece has been so popular for us, because you can subtone on that and really play a beautiful ballad, and you can push that thing and rock out. And that whole palette of expression, that's what I shoot for. So it's kind of like the goal is to open up self-expression when people play.
Yeah.
Right? And then we've got very dark mouthpieces and very bright mouthpieces, to dial that in. But the freedom of expression in each style, right, that remains consistent.
And that's important. And
that's a design goal. Yeah.
The interesting thing too is that I just came from Grace Kelly gave a performance at the Yamaha booth upstairs. I recorded it, awesome, and she's playing the Durga.
Yeah, she's playing the Durga.
And she sounded fantastic. And hopefully she'll come by the booth later. I'm not sure.
Yeah, she will tomorrow. She'll be by on Friday.
Awesome. And actually, Katja Riekerman is still just behind us. I think that's Tomoka, right behind. Yes, it is. She heard her name. she's. Yeah. No, it's all good. It's all good. And Leo P plays your mouthpieces. A lot of people play your mouthpieces. And I remember. I don't know if you remember this. A few years ago, Mindy Abear was here.
Yeah, she'll be here tomorrow too.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah,
that's
Mindy
great.
will be here tomorrow. Yeah.
Great, because we were talking.
And Adrian Crutchfield and
Adrian.
Everybody's coming tomorrow. You should come by tomorrow too.
Oh yeah, no, definitely, for sure. I was at the Trevor James booth, and Adrian and I were trying out the custom raw and series, and we both bought them the same time. It was like 2018, 2019, something like that. So that's kind of funny. But we were on the podcast. You'll see it on our Saxophone podcast site. We interviewed you and Mindy. Remember all the stories you guys were laughing and all that kind of stuff, and how you came up with the Mindy 2 and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So it's all the dedication. Yeah. That's the great word that I think describes you. The dedication to what you're doing to strive for. To strive to make the mouthpieces more expressive and also accessible to more people.
Yeah, a lot of people don't really realize the amount of effort, money, and time we put into really trying to make the world's history's best mouthpiece. And I know it sounds like a thing, but it's really true. Like my whole team, we're just we're passionate about really making just the best product. Which is also why we try to be humble enough to always listen to feedback, because everybody's feedback always inspires us how to improve, how to make things better. And if anybody's true to their craft, you will always find ways to make things better.
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, you really will. I mean, look at car manufacturers, phones, computers, like every industry in the world is constantly trying to make things better. So if somebody thinks like, oh, this model and that's as good as it gets, well, they're not trying.
You got to be more curious. You have to ask questions. Yeah,
you really do. I mean, it's just life is a constant evolution, right?
Yes.
And so if you're really dedicated and humble enough to go, many times I have gone, oh, there's no way I can make this better, and I'm always wrong.
And that's a good thing for us.
Yeah, and it makes it fun. Yeah, I'm always, we do so much research and development. We are like a research and development machine, yeah, literally. That's our entire business is based around research and development.
And that's important for people to know too, that you'll hear people say R&D, right? R&D stands for research and development, and it takes not only a lot of time, it takes a lot of money. And if you don't understand this, like go on Shark Tank. Listen, watch Shark Tank, don't go on it. Watch Shark Tank and see, when they talk about this stuff. I mean, it's real. And that's why, trade shows like NAMM exist, to show people new things that are available and new technologies and all that kind of stuff. And I think this is so great that this is available. Now, people can find this on your website, right? They can find it on sweetwater.com.
Yep.
Amazon, I'm thinking also.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you can find this everywhere, which is great. And it's more accessible, not just for young kids. Just keep that in mind, for people
these are professional quality.
Yeah. So, like, for example, like a concert alto mouthpiece, like what's the price range?
$175.
Yeah, I mean, you can't beat that, And if you're, I don't care what age you are, if you're just starting out on a mouthpiece, you're, like, say, on a Yamaha 4C, okay, think about the next step. You have a viable
and you'll
option.
have a flat table, perfect rails, and a flat table, perfect rails, and a perfectly defined and created baffle. They're all perfect, right? As intended. And that's important because we want to get you, right, the intended design, not an approximation. And I'm a master mouthpiece refacer.
Yeah.
I mean, I've been refacing my whole freaking life. I mean, that's how I got my start, right? And it is impossible, number one, to consistently hand face our baffles, right? And number two, now they're so complexly shaped that it's impossible to make them even by hand.
Wow.
Like imagine like waves, right?
Yeah.
And then you've got waves, but going in two directions. So now you've got a three-dimensional wave. How do you form that consistently by hand? You can't.
Yeah.
Right? So really, I mean, we have really put time and effort into the research and development to make the best designs consistent. And that's the only way you can get effective feedback too, because now when somebody tells me feedback, I know exactly what they're talking about. But if you hand face everyone, they're all going to be slightly different, and feedback now means nothing.
Yeah,
Because depending on the mouthpiece they have, it's different than the one I have. The feedback may not be right. It's not apples to apples. I would literally have to play their mouthpiece, then hear their feedback, then it would mean something.
Yes.
Right? But how often does that happen? Yeah, I mean, it's like so. But now our feedback means something across the board. Yeah.
That's awesome. Now we have this. I'm going to ask because it's NAMM, right? Anything coming up in 2025 that you're thinking about for next year? I'm just going to ask. No harm.
One moment, Brian. Can I? Hi there. Okay, we have some exciting new stuff coming out. We do, and you'll love it. But we can't.
We can't divulge right now.
Or I'll get beat up by by Brian.
and Brian's pretty tall.
Yeah, he's much bigger than me.
and me too. So
Yeah.
we're just saying. But listen, though, congratulations on this.
I mean, we're constantly doing research and development. I mean, a massive portion of our budget, right, is towards R&D. So basically, as you tell us what you want, right, as we get clear, then I'll make it, right?
How can people give you the feedback? Do they just go to your website and contact you?
Oh yeah, sure. And I give clinics, so I get a lot of feedback from clinics. So I'll give clinics all around the world. I'm giving clinics, and so during that I get feedback. People write us at info@theowanne.com and they give us feedback. They write Google reviews and we get lots of feedback.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
And we get feedback from dealers and distributors who are all their customers tell them, and then it comes back to us.
Also, they have a very active Facebook group as well.
Yes. Yeah. And on Facebook also. Yes.
Yeah.
And Instagram as well.
Oh, that's true. Yeah. Mm-hmm. All those avenues. Well, listen, Theo, I don't want to take up any more of your time. Congrats on this. This is fantastic. And it's great seeing you again.
Yeah, it's good to see you too.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Theo, for being on the Everything Saxophone podcast.